Hey crafters, welcome back to Ballyhoo Creations. This video will be about making doll hair for your cloth characters using wool locks. The first one I'm going to do is going to be sewn onto the doll's head, and then after that I'll show you how to do just glue, which is much faster. So here I'm just separating some of these locks. I got these from Big Sky Fiber Arts on Etsy, and this is the baby chick color, so it's a nice color for a red hair. And I'm just kind of mashing them together, not following any particular direction, just kind of making them. She's gonna have some kind of crazy hair. I'm going for a more feminine Bozo the Clown sort of look here, so I'm not being too particular about the direction of the locks. And then just snipping the ends there. And once I've got all these done, it's got a big mass of hair there. I'm going to put them on some tearaway stabilizer and take that over to my sewing machine. Just piling on a few extra until I get about the density of hair that I want her to have. If you don't have tearaway stabilizer, you could use a piece of paper or tissue paper or something like that, anything that will tear away from your seam. Just get it centered, and I make sure that it's about the right length for this doll head. So then I'm going to take that over and I'll stitch it off camera, and then I'll show you how the seam is done. I go from the middle up to the top, and then down to the bottom, and then back to the middle. That way the loose threads from your seam are in the middle of the doll wig and not up at the front in the forehead. Just tear away that stabilizer. And now what I'm going to do, this took me a little bit of time, but because I've got this black thread in there, I don't want that to be visible on the doll's, the part of her hair. So I'm splitting each side kind of in the middle as much as I can, and then I'll do the same thing on that other side and then open it out. And that way the doll will still have the look of a part, but you won't actually see the stitching. If your stitching matches and you don't mind it being visible, then you don't have to do this step. So that looks about right. And then I'm going to get my needle and thread. I got about 20 inches of thread, and I'm using a heavy upholstery thread here, and it's doubled up, so it's a lot of thickness. And what I like to do is go through the middle of the head and the middle of the wig, starting at kind of the crown of the character's head. And then I sew towards the front along that part. And then after I get to the front, then I'll turn around and go back. And I'm doing a back stitch here. So it's like sewing an entire loop with each stitch. And that way it locks the hair in there. Watching this, I really should have contained the hair on each side, like put a ponytail holder or a clip or something like that, because it was really in the way, and it just didn't occur to me while I was doing this. But as I watched this video and do the voiceover, I'm like, wow, I really should have gotten that hair out of the way. It took a long time. This is actually triple speed, so this took quite a bit of time, probably like 10 to 15 minutes just to stitch all of this on because the hair was in the way. And of course needle and thread were misbehaving. And after I've got the part all stitched down, I then go just in random parts around her head and sew down maybe 1 to 2 locks, so that when you turn the cloth doll over upside down, her hair won't all just flip up from the part and look like a mohawk. Although, you know, mohawk would be cool too, but that's not what I was going for. So I'm stitching this down in various places. Honestly, I think it's easier to glue in place. That's my preferred method, but I just wanted to demonstrate how it would be stitched in. And now I'm just taking a piece of rayon ribbon that I think this came from Hobby Lobby. It's nice and sheer, and I'm creating like a handkerchief or a scarf around her hair. And I really like that mint color with the color of this, this orange Teeswater wool locks. Nothing fancy here, I just tie it in a square knot, and then I'll cut off the ends. It's funny how when you're making a doll's hair, it's very much like doing your own hair or somebody else's hair. You just keep fiddling with it, messing with it until either you're happy with it or you're just tired of messing with it, and then you call it done. Same thing with doll hair. Then after I'm done with this, I will give her a little haircut and trim the ends up. I really wanted her to have sort of a messy look because most of my characters are sort of haphazard anyway. If you wanted to mess with it longer, you certainly could. And that piece of handkerchief there, that little piece of ribbon, kept coming out of the way, so I just decided to glue that down, and there it will stay exactly where I want it. And a little piece of glue there I trimmed off. So that's pretty much it. She's done. Now her head just needs to be attached to a body, and it's done. A little bit of hair clipping there. I really like these curly wool locks. They're so fun. Here's a different one. This is just the glued method. There's no stitching involved at all. Doing the same thing here where I've got the locks and I'm just kind of laying them out with shorter ones usually towards the front of the head, like the bangs would be shorter, and then longer ones in the back. This one I didn't even stitch the part in this. I prefer to do it that way with the stitched part because then you can see the part and it just looks more like a normal hairstyle. But on this one, I'm just using glue. You saw a bead of glue on the back of the head, and then I just glue the locks on and press them into place, and most of them will get stuck. And then a few of them I'm just rearranging to get them in that bead of glue. Come back with a little bit more on top and make sure that everything's glued down. If you want to add another layer of the locks, you could do that and make a whole mess of hair on there. And as in the other videos where I'm showing different hairstyles, I'm using the Fabri-Tac glue. And then I'll just go ahead and run a bead of glue down the side seam to make sure that that gets covered with the hair. A little bit on the back of the head as well. I just pull it over and hold it into place for a few seconds until the glue grabs on. So now both sides are glued. Part is glued, each side is glued, so you can see it's not coming off of there. I don't like how this looks on the top, but I was planning on putting a hat on this doll anyway, so I didn't really mess too much with the part, the top of the head. And I'll show you a photo of the two dolls completed, or the doll heads anyway. I love those curls on them. Leave a like if you like this video or subscribe for more, and join us at ballyhoocreations.com for embroidery designs and patterns to make quirky characters for the inspired sewist.